What are the Confederates of Brazil, a historical humans production? The Confederate States of America, more commonly referred to as the Confederacy, consisted of a sect of rebellious U.S. states that fought and lost the U.S. Civil War during the 1860s. That this Confederacy, based entirely in the North American nation of the United States, would have any connection to a South American country like Brazil seems unlikely. That such a connection would be a lasting cultural bond over a century and a half, showing the dissolution of the Confederacy. Even more so, naturally, this brings the question, what are the Confederates of Brazil? During the final months of the U.S. Civil War, a number of Confederate slave owners chose to enact a self-imposed exile from the United States rather than relinquish their slaves. Between 1865 and 1867, thousands of Confederates fled the U.S. South, many with slaves in tow, to Brazil, specifically to Santa Barbara and Americana. Brazil had many qualities that appealed to fleeing Confederate diehards and slave owners. It was one of the last countries in the Western Hemisphere in which slavery was still permitted. The plantation monoculture Brazil used to grow sugar, rice, and coffee was very similar in practice to the plantation agriculture that the Confederates were accustomed to. And at the time of Pedro I, Emperor of Brazil, was offering land and tax exemptions to people who could introduce cotton plantations, the primary plantation crop of the Confederacy, to Brazil. An estimated 8,000 to 10,000 former Confederates emigrated to Brazil. Letters to the Brazilian consulate indicates that 3 in 4 of these Confederates were slave owners. These people became known as Os Confederados. They established a dozen settlements in the 23 years between the end of the U.S. Civil War and the abolition of slavery in Brazil. Though slavery had been abolished in Brazil for the past 135 years, and the Confederate States of America has been dead for over 155, the Confederacy and its practices are still celebrated annually by the Os Confederados. The Festa Confederada, located in Santa Barbara de Oeste, Sao Paulo, is an annual celebration of the Confederate States of America held on April 28th of each year. Celebrated with country music, corn on the cob, fried chicken, and Confederate flags and uniforms, the Festas Confederadas bears a resemblance to both the backyard barbecues and historical reenactments of the American South. Although such few events in the United States would take place in a cemetery as the Festa Confederada does. Black activists in Brazil have taken to protesting the Festa Confederada in recent years, decrying racism at the heart of the celebration. Many celebrants of the Festa Confederada view the festival as a celebration of their American ancestry and deny any racist motives brought their forebears to Brazil. This, despite many letters from Confederates who emigrated to Brazil expressing either their excitement at the prospect of buying slaves at cheaper rates in Brazil, or disappointment at their inability to forcibly import their former slaves in North America, or both. Regardless, the Confederates who emigrated to Brazil formed their own tightly knit and closed community within Brazil, where they preserved their English language, Protestant religion, and Confederate identity for over a century and a half. However, some of that identity may be about to change as a Brazilian law passed in July of 2022 specifically banning the use of racist symbols at public festivals just might put an end to the Festa Confederada. The festival, which is attended by thousands of people from across Brazil, and the Confederate flag are both specifically named in the justification for the law, which was passed with near unanimous support. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like down below. If there's a topic that you would like to see, please leave a comment down below. And don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. And please be sure to check out all of our social medias listed below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.